We are going to be eating some tomato soup. This is not just any tomato soup, however. This is the tomato soup. It is so flippin' good. Don't demonetize me, please. It's difficult for me to convey how good this tomato soup is. It is a new dish that I've created. It is entirely my own invention, and holy. This is my second attempt, and it is already incredibly good. It is the best tomato soup that I have ever tasted. It's a little chunky, as you can see. It's a chunky soup, but it's a soup. And it has more stuff than just tomato, but it's primarily a tomato soup. So before we eat, I'm going to take you through the basic process and the ingredients, not so you can make it yourself, but so you sort of know what went into it. So you start off and you put some water on a boil with, in my case, a pepper cooker thing. I don't know, you fill it with pepper, you put it in there, you add salt, MSG, you add eventually some dill and basil. You also add some, in my case, a bunch of paprika powder stuff. And you put that all in some water. That'll be like the flavor part of it. And in another larger pot, you put some butter. If you want it to be a vegan meal, at this point you would use some plant-based butter without any milk. Melt that in there, and you add some flour to that, and you mix it all together so it becomes this really thick paste. And then you would, I need to just work through it in my head. At that stage you can add some, you add the water from the spices. At this point they would have already mingled, right? A lot of the time you need to let that boil for like a good 10 minutes before you add it. At least 10 minutes. You want it, especially the pepper needs to get it infused, and we'll come to that later. Anyway, so you add the spicy goodness, all of it, pop it in, mix it together so it becomes a little more together, and then you add some cream. In my case, some oat-based cream. It is vegan. Not that I'm a vegan, but I figure if it's the same price and it's really good, there's no sense in not buying vegan. So whatever. At that stage you would add some, you mix it together of course. After that you would make sure that it tastes good. It needs to taste good. At this point you should also add the lime. I forgot. You should add the garlic. Now if you're an idiot like me, you forgot to prepare the garlic. You should really prepare the garlic before. You should use about 2 to 3 cloves, maybe like 3 cloves of garlic per 400 grams of chopped tomatoes. So yeah, in my case I had to use an entire garlic, and that takes a while to prepare, so you should have prepared it beforehand. And you add that, you add the lime, 1 lime in my case, squeeze it in there, and really squeeze it, get it all out. You want all the juice, you mix all that stuff together, taste it. If this doesn't taste good, add some, whatever it needs. In my case it needed a lot more pepper, so I added some pepper. I love pepper. And it tasted really good, like, delicious. So at this point you can start adding your vegetables basically. So for me, a bunch of chopped tomatoes. Now they come, I think, about 65% tomato flesh, and then the rest is like tomato juice. And I also added a bunch of onion. I've already prepared this onion before. It was frozen, doesn't matter. It can be fresh or frozen. Chop it up into the bits, toss it in there. you would have about 100 grams of onion for every 250 grams of tomato flesh, or in my case, for every 400 grams of tomato. Like one of those boxes is about 400 grams. Put it in there, mix it all together, and basically at this point you would be tasting the Danini last additions. Again, in my case, more pepper, because, yeah, I should have let the spices mingle a little longer, so don't make the same mistake that I made. Anyway, it comes out to this thick, delicious, freaking, I can't describe it. It's so good. It is so, so good. So here we have the tomato soup, chunky tomato soup. It's so good. We've also got some cheap bread. By the way, this is a poor man's meal, as the title suggests. The soup, for a litre of soup, you have to just look up the conversion, but a whole litre of soup, which is a lot of soup, probably enough for 2 people, to be honest. If you're eating this just as a regular meal, a litre of soup is probably enough for 2 regular individuals, like a man and a woman. A litre of soup is enough for both if you had bread on the side. So for a meal for 2, basically, not including the bread, it's about 16 kroner, which in US dollars would be about, I think, just over $2, or approaching $2, like $1.90 to $2 maybe, hovering around that. Yeah, it's about $1.95 probably. The conversion goes up and down all the time, so still, it is a pretty cheap meal. So for a regular person, including bread and butter, you can probably eat this for like $1.20. In my case, I have large meals, so this is about a $2.20 meal. That's using Norwegian ingredients. So you can probably get it a lot cheaper wherever you are. That was a lot of talking, but it's so worth the wait. Oh man. I'm so sorry. I just it's so good. It's out of this world. I know, I've got some on my underlip. If you don't eat tomato soup in a messy way, you're doing it wrong. It's just it's difficult to even comprehend that food can get this good. Like homemade food can get this good. This is what you'd expect to get at a restaurant. It seriously is like that good. It's the kind of shit that if you ordered at a restaurant, you'd be paying $10 for half a litre. In other words, you would be paying about 10 times what it costs you to make yourself. Over here anyway. Sorry. Yeah, no, not sorry. I was going to say I said it wrong, but I didn't say it wrong. Yeah, never mind. I thought I might have said like 500 grams. If I did, not what I meant. 500 milliliters. All you college kids out there, stop eating noodles, alright? Stop with the ramen. That's for when you're sick and you can't make something else. If you want to be healthy and you want to have food that is just out of this world good, sorry about the cars, by the way. You can't tell me that you can't afford $1 for a meal. Like, even without the bread, this is probably more. Not more, it is probably better for you than any ramen dish you can put together for $1. It has carbs, it has fat, it has vegetables. It is lacking protein. If you wanted to, you could probably make this a little less thick and then add some sort of meat, chopped up meat. Of course, that'll make it a lot more expensive. But, you know, you could do that. There goes monetization. The algorithm's going to pick that up. No, it's not, but it might. I was actually going to have some chocolate milk with this meal, but I forgot. It's in the fridge still. So instead, I'll have it for dessert afterwards, not as part of the video. So people have voted for whether or not they want me to get an Instagram. They could vote yes, they could vote no, or they could vote maybe. And last time I checked, I think I had 92% of the votes, rather, for yes, 8% of the votes for maybe, and 0% of the votes for no. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna make an Instagram. I don't know if I'm going to make it tonight, but check the description, because if I do make it tonight, it'll be in the description. If I don't, well then still follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, and if you haven't been to Snapchat, I add you back, so, you know, there's that. Messy. This is stupid good. It's to the point where I want to open my own restaurant. This is a moneymaker right here. If you run a restaurant or anything like that, feel free to use it. It loves some credit, but you know, I can't control what you do. Yeah, for sure. This is a moneymaker. But it isn't perfect. I could probably make this a little better. So right now it's very neutral and it's a little thick. For most people, I think they would like it a little bit less viscous. Less viscous means less thick, but I didn't want to use the same word twice. But hey, I realized that I have half my audience outside of English-speaking countries, so anyway, it for some people's tastes, I think could be a little stronger. Right now it has just enough pepper for you to taste it, just enough garlic for you to taste it. Like, there's a lot of taste, it's very balanced. It is, it's a good, pretty neutral, but still very tasty meal. It's a really, really good base, if that makes sense. It's the kind of thing that if you were going to make a meal for like 30 people, make this, and make it the way it is now, because they're all going to like it. It's not going to be too thick for anyone, it's not going to be too spicy for anyone, nor is it going to be not tasty enough for anyone. Like, it's got enough different types of taste and spices and niceness. It's a very, very perfect all-rounder, and I think that's one of the reasons it is a moneymaker, you know? Put like a salt and pepper shaker on the table, serve this. Delicious. I'm like straight up really proud of it. I know that's weird to say, but this is one of those meals that I didn't know that I could make. But putting it together, tasting it, seeing how it like really worked. Like, if I ever have kids, they're really gonna like my food. And that's kind of nice to know. I actually looked after my nieces and nephews recently, like a week and a bit ago, and there were 5 of them plus a guest, another kid. So 6 kids at the time. And they ranged from like 3.5 years old to, I think the oldest was like 9. So young kids, right? Usually quite picky. And I had limited, food. I just had to scratch for what they had. So I ended up making a pasta dish with pasta, chicken that I basically cut up into like inch thick bits, inch by inch basically. And I made a sauce, and the sauce was experimental. It was something I hadn't made before. It was made out of frozen spinach. Basically, it comes in these little blocks of spinach, and it becomes very, like, it's already entirely chopped up. It's not like spinach leaves, it's entirely fine almost. So you could put it in a sauce if you want to, or have a soup with it. I don't generally like it myself, but I figured together with the right spices and the right base, this could be quite nice. So I try to make a pasta sauce with spinach, butter, milk, and whatever spices I could find. So I ended up using some cayenne and basil, salt, pepper, and maybe something else, I can't remember. Mixed it all together, and yeah, I put it all together, so the pasta, the chicken, and the sauce all mixed together in once. They didn't really have a choice, they had to eat it all or nothing, and they all liked it. And I was like, hell yeah. I made 6 kids enjoy a meal that was very much spinach based. And they generally don't like spinach either. They were like, oh no, it's so green and yucky. But I was like, just taste it. And they tasted it. And they all liked it. No complaints. So, I don't know. It's really fun. Of course, there's going to be chefs out there that kick my ass, I tweeted about this today. There's a lot of things that I can do okay. I'm not really great at any particular thing. I'm not really good at anything. Everything that I can do, I can think of a friend or a family member or someone else that I know who can do that thing better than I can. Everything that I can do, someone else does better. But I cannot think of a single person that I know who can do as many things as I can. In terms of like a range of things that I can do, range of skills, in terms of, I can do everything. Pretty much everything within sound I can do. Live sound, make music, record sounds, sound effects, edit things, build speakers, fix headphones. I can do everything there is within sound. I can do a lot of video work, operate cameras, both photo cameras and film cameras. I can design games, put together documents, manage teams of people. I can make food. I can mix drinks. I feel like I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none, and I'm not really sure if that's a good or a bad thing, I feel like I'm the kind of person who would make a good husband if I ever got to that stage, but I would never, I would have a difficult time getting to that stage before I'm 35, 40 years old. Because I'm not particularly impressive I don't have that one skill that I can just show off and attract people that way. None of my skills on their own are that impressive. So, yeah. But I suppose some people have to be jack of all trades. I've done more stuff. I've worked as a factory worker making furniture. I've worked as a network manager and program manager. I managed not TV programs, but on a professional network YouTube channel. I decided what content was going to be made and be put up. And so I would talk to voice actors, musicians, filmmakers. That's another thing, voice casting. I've done casting direction professionally. I've been paid to put voice actors in a game. I've done writing for both video and games. I can sew, I can sort of knit, although knitting is a bit of a stretch. I can make chainmail, as you found out in the last video, which you should totally go watch, by the way. I can do a lot of things. It's nice, but also I'm kind of worried. It feels really shitty to not have that one thing that I'm really good at. There's a few things that I really like doing. But I feel like I constantly have to justify my position in whatever position I am in. Because none of my skills speak for themselves. It's sort of the combination of skills that come together. So the only position that I've done well in, and I feel like I don't have to explain myself, is a leadership position. Working as a leader is really fun because I can do everything that everyone else is doing pretty much, with the exception of programming. Although I understand programming logic, I can do all of these things to a degree, so I understand what they're doing, I understand their difficulties, I understand their process. So I work pretty well as a middleman between different creative people. So that's cool, but I have no leadership education, right? I can't just go and apply for a job as a creative director. Because these days you just need papers for everything, so. I don't know. If you're watching this far, which very few of you are, it's a long video, and many of you are probably sleeping if you're still here. But if you're still watching and you're still awake and you don't have anything better to do, feel free to tell me about yourself and your skills, what you like to do, what are you good at. Or if you're very young and you're not quite sure what you want to do, you can take that angle and, I don't know, discuss with people, ask questions in the comments. Maybe other people would interact. I don't know. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I did, because I like food. And I hope it wasn't too shit.